This week, new phone, who dis, sending me top secret war plans. The Trump character's closest advisors put the country's national security at risk, leading their boss to say, hey, that's my job. Sure, it's reckless to use a commercial app to discuss attack plans, but what option do you have when CENTCOM refuses to create a smirk face emoji? I don't want to say this is damaging, but Ukraine's like, you know what? Maybe it's okay you say you're not going to help us. Between this and the heated Oval Office shouting match where the Trump character sold out Ukraine, America's credibility on the world stage is taking a nosedive that can only be described as Tesla stock-esque. But is there a glimmer of hope? Does the Trump character calling Zelenskyy a dictator mean he'll soon be kissing his ass? Plus, Elon Musk continues to fire people at breakneck speed, though not his wardrobe person, nor his barber. At this point, no one's safe. I don't mean just people with government jobs. Musk is firing air traffic controllers, people who safeguard our nukes and protect us from Ebola and bird flu. No one's literally safe. And the Trump character takes over the Kennedy Center, setting the tables for a very rare bankrupting of a nonprofit. It's a dizzying episode with storylines introduced and resolved at a frantic pace. This is Talking Trump, the American Emperor Aftershow.
By the way, when you take away that artificial line that looks like it was done with a ruler, and that's what it was. Some guy sat there years ago and they said, "Rah." Well, when you take away that and you look at that beautiful formation of Canada and the United States, there is no place anywhere in the world that looks like that.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. I'm Christopher Lansing. I'm joined by author, filmmaker, and pop culture critic, Mr. Tomm Robb. So much to get to again. Let's just get at it. Another phenomenal episode.
I mean, what I have to say, and I don't know if anyone said it before, this is a series that's really turning traditional storytelling on its ear. It's innovative, it's exciting, it's brash, it's out of the box, and there's something unexpected every single episode.
Well, I completely concur. Now, so much to get to. Okay, this is a very impactful episode. It started off and focused a lot on the Trump character and things going on in the world of foreign affairs. It came back to domestic affairs after a little bit, but it was definitely rooted in the foreign affairs world, which is something that we don't see a ton on the show. Normally, we're talking about what's happening within the country. But this one, again, it reached out into foreign affairs, namely the war in Ukraine. It was highlighted by an absolutely riveting scene that transpired in the Oval Office, which we will get to, of course. But overall, producers and writers are saying in this episode, yeah, the Trump character is a menace in a domestic sense, but hey, don't forget, this guy can also be an enormous disgrace on the world stage as well. So on a macro level, what do you think that is going on with this reach out into the international world?
Well, from a marketing standpoint, they've realized that it has vast international appeal. And so they're starting to expand the character in the logical direction where he could actually end the world and human existence, which is what it's tracked to do.
Let me ask you this. You're somebody who's a veteran of the television industry. This show is aired in different international markets. The show is also very expensive to produce. By doing this foreign affairs storyline, are they trying to goose their international numbers?
Absolutely. And it's expanding in markets all over. We're seeing it in the Middle East. We're seeing it in Latin America. We're seeing it in parts of the former Eastern Bloc. Even in Africa, I know that I've seen posters. They're making a big push because people are loving this all over.
Yeah. Also, it's a way for them to recoup some of the costs that it takes to make the show by selling it into international markets. International sales are always a factor, but often the show will have a different name in a number of different markets. So, for example, in Mexico, it's called El Niño Rey Naranjara, which means the orange-colored child king. You see the poster here. In Germany, the show is Goring, aber orange und Undensauger, which roughly translates to goring, but orange and more out of shape physically. And in Egypt, it's called Rahul Hizam Boraquinum American Salmon, which means Orange American Girdle Man. So every culture will translate American Emperor into what it kind of means in their own lexicon, you know?
Exactly. I've seen that. I know that when I was doing a book tour in Africa, I saw a poster and it was touted as Adabe Gume Dahmer, which means the swoosh-haired Jeffrey Dahmer of leadership. So people are enjoying it the world over.
They're in an international market, but they're speaking a universal language. All right, we're going to get to that incredible climactic scene in the Oval Office in a second. But first, producers and writers had to lay a lot of groundwork for this. And they did so with the Trump character saying a number of disparaging things about the Zelenskyy character. In no order had, called him a dictator. They had this storyline about extorting rare earth minerals from a country that was in desperate need, fighting for its survival, fighting for the very concept of democracy within the show. Now they have this running joke about how this Zelenskyy character dresses, where the Trump character cannot comprehend what he's wearing.
He's all dressed up today.
And it all led up to this beautiful moment right before the climactic scene where this new reporter character basically asked the Zelenskyy character if he owns a suit. Take a look.
For President Zelenskyy, why don't you wear a suit? Why don't you wear a suit? You're at the highest level in this country's office and you refuse to wear a suit. Just want to see if do you own a suit?
Yeah, problems.
A lot of Americans have problems with you not respecting.
I don't have such.
Office.
I will wear a costume after this war will finish.
Okay.
Yes, maybe one.
Maybe something like
yours.
Yes.
Maybe something better. I don't know. We will see. Maybe something cheaper than. Yeah. Thank you.
That is an incredible scene right there. What do you make of this guy? Because, and as far as I'm concerned, he almost steals the entire show.
Well, he's a great character. We have Harry Greaves, the midget vaudeville actor, playing both Rubio and Zelenskyy, switching roles. And the only thing in common that you can see is their dwarfism. It's clear that as a marketing campaign, they're making fashion a huge part of the show now. So there'll be lots of seemingly irrelevant discussion of suits, what people are wearing. It's a tip-off to a later plot point where the Trump character is going to insist that every American citizen wear a military uniform and be assigned a certain rank. So every man, woman, and child will have a grade A power position with, in some cases, a child who's a captain empowered to order around an adult, make him stop working if he's on a telephone crew or something and buy him an ice cream. So we're going to see a lot of this kind of thing.
So you're saying that we're moving towards a plot point within the show where a citizen will be assigned a uniform. That uniform will have some sort of like significance as far as a caste order goes within our society.
Yeah, exactly. And it's going to be very exciting to see what happens between parents and children, because many children will outrank their parents.
That's going to be fascinating for sure. Let's get back for 1 second with this reporter character who they introduced. I believe that they have revealed that this character is also in a romantic relationship with the Marjorie Taylor Greene character, which, as you will know, we have never really fully seen her body unclothed. We've seen her feet, and they are clearly the feet of a jackal, but the rest of her body we haven't seen. So are we leading up to some sort of like very disturbing, weird sex scene between these two characters? And let me just say, this character who asked the question about the suit, I'm saying, hey, a star is born here. I can't wait to see what comes next from him.
Yeah, the Marjorie Taylor Greene character has shifted. Its original character design was sort of supernatural when the people that were sci-fi writers in the film wanted a lot more CGI, wanted a lot more characters of fantasy. The original Marjorie Taylor Greene character was a sort of a human egg with an egg face, which you still see, and an egg body, and of course the feet of a jackal. The reality folks on the show won out, and so she's just an egg-like humanoid. But they have retained, as you've pointed out in past episodes, the jackal-footed demon, which is more a metaphor for an essential sort of internal character trait.
Well, yes, I remember they were famously, it was exposed on Reddit, that they had originally designed a scene where the Marjorie Taylor Greene character was searching through the grave of her own birth mother. And when she went to this graveyard and removed the headstone and opened the coffin to see what was in there, it was revealed that it was actually a jackal. And when they shot this thing, they were subsequently sued by the filmmakers from The Omen, starring Gregory Peck, because they literally did a shot-for-shot remake of it and didn't give them any kind of credit or whatever. So it was an intellectual property thing. They had to kind of reimagine all that stuff, but they did try to maintain that jackal storyline, the remnants of it at least, going forward for the Marjorie Taylor Greene character. So I'm looking forward to that unfolding.
And possibly some litigation, some intellectual property disputes. But it's working for the show, that's for sure.
Now, listen, a last question on this uniform thing. They're all saying you can't get too much of a good thing, but my question here is, are writers and producers spending too much time here? I mean, we get it. The Trump character is completely unable to understand the significance of an outfit that symbolizes bravery. It's not exactly new that the Trump character has a problem understanding the concept of military service.
I don't know. I think they're running with it. I think they're going to go with it for a while until fans and internet movements, which is the key influence in the world now, tells them to change their mind.
Now let's get to this climactic Oval Office scene. Not only do we have the Trump character in the spotlight, giving a tour de force performance, but what puts us over the top is the number of supporting roles in the room that really send this into the stratosphere. I'm going to ask for your take on a few. Well, first, this Zelenskyy character, you mentioned a minute ago, the actor was actually playing two different roles in there. We'll get to that in 1 second. But I understand that they first discovered this guy. Really, he was a day player when they brought him in, and they really hit pay dirt with him. What are your thoughts?
That's what I've heard. He was doing sort of bits and shtick by the craft services table, and a producer wandered by and realized this guy has charisma. Let's make him a leader of Ukraine. We're casting that right now. And oh my God, he can play the Dwarf Rubio character as well. He turns out to be a very versatile vaudeville dwarf who's been working for generations. He looks younger than he actually is. And also, luckily, fit the tiny uniform and tiny suit that they had already cut.
I heard that they were planning on casting this leader of the Ukraine army as a large 6'5", muscular, totally masculine figure who was just basically out of the leading man factory, Hollywood style. Then the night before he was due to come, they took the uniform that they were going to have him wear, which you see in the Zelenskyy character now. They accidentally put it in the dryer and it shrunk. They only had one version of it, so they had to immediately pivot and bring this guy in because he literally fit the uniform. And the other actor, I believe he's the guy who plays Reacher now. He was kind of out of luck. He hadn't signed his contract yet because he was like looking for more money. He thought like, oh, this guy has legs. Next thing you know, he's locked off the lot, and they have this guy.
Well, I think, as we all know well, it's not the first time Hollywood history has been made by dryer shrinkage accidents. You know, we saw this in Casablanca, Gone with the Wind, Easy Rider, where characters were formed by a uniform or a costume becoming too small. Most of the Confederate soldiers in Gone with the Wind ended up being the dwarves that were working across the lot, playing the winged monkeys and the munchkins, because all the gray uniforms had been shrunk. We see this all the time. It's not surprising, but it's a lucky thing for this series.
All right, real quick, from the No Small Roles file, the woman who played the Ukrainian ambassador, no lines. She's just really working in her own space. She puts her head in her hands. Look at this right here. It says so much of an impact. No lines. Your thoughts on this performance?
This was beautiful. They had a variety of shots to choose from. The best one that I saw in the editing room was a hands-clasped Edvard Munch sort of scream, but they had a copyright problem, so they moved to this. But it does say it all.
Yeah, she was excellent, and I hope we see more things from her, although I don't know whereabouts that'll fit in. Let's get to the heavy hitters. We've spent a lot of time talking about this character, but his uber douchiness was on full display. I think you may have seen a case for an Emmy Award here for Best Supporting Actor, or at least Best Supporting Douchebag, if there's something like that. J.D. Vance. Here's a clip Look at him whining here.
You said thank you once that
a lot
entire
of
meeting?
times.
No, in this
Even
entire
today.
meeting you said thank
Even
you.
today.
Offer some words of appreciation for the United States of America
Speaking
and the president who's trying to save your country.
Well, this is a portent of what will be revealed, which is that the J.D. Vance character is actually a 10-year-old boy, a petulant, angry 10-year-old boy, which is why the Trump character has said, no, he's not my successor. He hasn't been to middle school yet. So he acts in character, stamping his foot, saying, apologize, apologize. You know, there's an earlier scene where he hits his mom and doesn't get in trouble. He's part of a new generation of angry kids who blames everybody. This is perfectly in character and a way to tee up what we're going to reveal when we cut into J.D. Vance at his elementary school having a tantrum.
Look, I am well documented on this podcast talking about how unlikable this character is, and credit to the actor. You know, he does take it up another level here.
Yes, this character, his childlike petulance is going to expand. We're going to see more of it. One of the amusing things is that the 10-year-old actor, who is very self-conscious about his very puffy face and insisted on a beard to slim it down and age him up, which they reluctantly agreed to because they realized that transition is going to be harder to explain. But he thought it had a slimming effect on his fat face. And that, too, is a sort of little indicator that children's ideas aren't always very sophisticated.
And then, of course, which was revealed in this article recently, I guess, in Vanity Fair, he's an enormous fan of the band My Chemical Romance. And that explains the eyeliner that he's constantly wearing. He just discovered the emo rock musical movement. Anyway, this character, I written him off for dead. I hated it. But now, lo and behold, we may be seeing it get new life. So that's why I'm here talking about this show and not running the show, Tom, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Let's move on to the next character here. We didn't know where this character was going in the beginning of season 3. I certainly felt I had seen all he can do. Well, I was wrong. The character of Marco Rubio was made Secretary of State in season 3. And first I was like, why? But now I see this guy, again, with almost no dialogue, just using his physicality, can play a coward like no other. You see him in this scene. He's literally shrinking his body in that couch. Talk about this performance.
Well, it's incredible. This is somebody who sort of hints to us he might be the only sane person in the administration, and then surprises again by becoming as cowardly and nutless as everyone else. He does it perfectly. Whimpering, shrinking cowardice, fear, and suck-uppitude is sort of in his acting quiver, and he does it brilliantly.
The character that was very prominent in this scene that was not physically in the room is the Putin character. The scene was very impactful, but now writers or producers have kind of painted themselves into a corner. Are we going to start seeing more of him, or is he going to be like a man with the cigarette figure, like from the X-Files?
I think he's meant to be ghostly, mysterious, sinister, and I think we're going to be seeing more and more and more of him. The sort of Emperor Palpatine of this show. Is he already dead? That's a question we ask. Is he a reanimated sort of Madame Tussauds character? That's yet to be seen.
I think that you're going to see this unfold. Soon we're going to get to a place where they don't even mention his name. He will be like the character from Harry Potter, he whose name we do not mention. So don't be surprised if you see him dressed up in a black robe. They take away his nose and he becomes the Harry Potter character.
And while they won't mention his name, we're going to see the character name they invented, Putin, show up as a catchphrase. I Putined at dinner. I Putined on a date, a sort of word for some sort of disgusting misstep. I Putined during sex. She won't call me back. So this is the kind of thing we're going to see because these things go national and people love to use them.
That'll take it a step further than the Voldemort comparison. Okay, now, while this spectacular Oval Office scene is taking place, our writers and producers are simultaneously further and further pushing and developing the Elon Musk character. This week, it was a bonanza. We see him running with a chainsaw. He's appearing in a cabinet meeting dressed like an early 80s comic. I heard, by the way, in that episode, the actor playing Elon said he was going to, quote, play this scene like I'm Richard Jenny, which I think explains the outfit there. They also teamed him with this young child actor who plays his son named X. What do you think of the progression of this character and where they're building him to?
I think they've opened up the door to this character being capable of anything. Chainsawing somebody in the cabinet. I think it's anything is possible. And again, with the costumery, anything is possible. We're going to see him in bathrobes in the Oval Office. We're going to see him in tight spandex exercise outfits, Jane Fonda style. What they're saying is expect the unexpected.
Now, of course, we're also seeing the arch of this Elon character. He's beginning to lose all his money. He's got a long way to go, of course, but also it's a long way to fall. Do you think we'll see him lose all his money, or is the equivalent of that to him just being a double-digit billionaire as opposed to a centibillionaire?
I think it's more the latter. I think the writers would like him to lose all his money, but feel that that's not logical or possible. But he will lose some.
Now, they also have him in a plot line where he's firing everybody, firing people for no reason. That's an excellent way to get your character to be disliked in a hurry. They have him firing park rangers, the people in charge of keeping the nukes safe, air traffic controllers, people in charge of bird flu, people in charge of monitoring Ebola. Clearly, they're setting things up for a disaster. What are your thoughts on this plot line, and who do you think he's going to be firing in upcoming episodes?
Time now for Firing Elon.
I know they have a scene where he fires all the doctors and nurses in a critical care hospital. I know he's going to fire all the caregivers in an elder care home. And I think it's going to lead to him firing Trump. The Trump character will be fired. He will finally fire himself with prejudice. He'll do it quite angrily, realizing everything he's ever done is kind of absurd and heinous. Now, they hired an actor who's had a great deal of cosmetic surgery, and he's going to also fire his plastic surgeon before he fires himself in a sort of moment of self-loathing. But this is episodes down the line for sure. He's going to do a lot more firing. He's going to fire armies. He's going to fire inanimate objects. He's going to fire buildings. It's not going to stop, and it won't be pretty.
Yeah, I saw a after credit scene, I think in last week's episode, where he wandered into a forest and encountered a family of deer, and he fired the fawn, but allowed, he did not mention to the parents of the deer that they were fired. So apparently they still have their jobs.
Yeah, we're going to see montages of him firing the person running a Ferris wheel while people are still going around. People on assembly lines where cars continue to move down the line without anybody stopping it or monitoring it. We're going to see some runaway firings and the mechanical results of that.
Okay, something to look forward to for sure. All right, let's do a quick rundown of some other stuff that normally they would build a whole episode around this. This is just like, these are just little bumpers in and out of commercials because this show is so damn full of content. The show continues to tease this idea of the Trump character being affiliated with the Epstein character. Producers and writers once again floated the idea recently in this last episode of these Epstein files. But once again, it was just a tease and nothing really happened. This new Pam Bondi character stalled in the release of anything meaningful. I know they're trying to build mystery, but is the audience eventually going to get sick of this? And is this the idea of these producers and writers? And forgive me, I'm saying this myself. This is not a reflection of your point of view. I want to make that clear, but is the idea here to finally have the viewing audience at home say, look, show us this disgusting thing. And then when they realize that that's all that they really wanted to see, they have a moment of reckoning themselves.
I don't know why they won't answer this call. It's a national, becoming global burnout where people simply want to see a naked Alan Dershowitz having anal sex with some kind of homeless person that's been abducted by Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. If they don't get to see that soon, throw the plot line away because exactly. People are sick of this.
I'm sick of waiting. The show also rolled out this plot line where the Trump character has floated the idea of buying Gaza.
Donald is not meant to set you free. sea. No more tunnels, no more fear. Trump Gaza is finally here. Trump Gaza shining bright, golden future, a brand new life.
And turning it into a casino and resort area. Do you think this plot line will become one of the long list of plot lines that do not get fulfilled? Or do you think at the end of season 3, they're going to break ground on a casino and resort area? What do you think this is headed?
I think that annexing other countries, stealing land and taking over is something that they want to be on the agenda of this character, and turning it into an amusement park, making Vegas out of Angola or making a Six Flags out of Tora Bora. This is something they would like to see. It's easier said than done, but I think we're going to accomplish it somewhere in the plot line of this show. The Trump character would like to pave the entire thing and turn it into a low-end amusement park, or sort of obese Americans to nurse giant blue drinks out of fire buckets and, wait in long lines for movie-themed rides.
There's reports that they're looking at land outside of the coast of Somalia. They're trying to incorporate Somalian pirates into an actual attraction or a ride. But in this case, you would actually be on the boat serving as a low-level pirate as they attacked a ship off the coast of Somalia. And then the last thing about this is the Trump character's track record at running casinos is not good. It should be pointed out that the casino business it's kind of a hard business to fuck up. Do you think that they're just saying, hey, we know this guy bankrupted 3 casinos. How do we up the stakes? Oh, I get it. Let's put a casino in Gaza.
Let's have fun. He's a failed businessman. Let's have him fail on an epic geopolitical level where there's a sort of wholesale war.
All right. Well, when we come back, we're going to answer some of the questions sent in by you, the listeners. That's right. Talking Trump, talk back. When we return, you're listening to Talking Trump, the American Emperor After Show. All right. Well, I'm very excited about this week's read, this week's sponsor for a while on Talking Trump, the American Emperor After Show podcast. We've been talking about how American Emperor, the show, expands all the time with its marketing because they're constantly trying to make new avenues of revenue for themselves. And just so happens this week, they contacted us about a product that they're putting out. Looks like they're coming out with a book just in time for Father's Day. So let's do this real quick. 101 dad jokes for how the Trump character is emboldening Russia. Okay, let's do it. With Father's Day approaching, what better gift for the Magadad or the Magdadga in your life than this book? 101 dad jokes for how the Trump character's emboldening Russia. Well, this looks great. Just imagine spending countless hours at the dinner table or the backyard barbecue with gems like these. How did the Trump character get so good at being a lapdog for Russia? By really Putin in the hours. I like how it gives you that real dad joke feel to it. Oh, here's another one. Was the Trump character nervous about pitching Russia on a ceasefire? Yeah, but you never know it because he was Putin on a straight face. Okay, I have one more for you. How did the Trump character come up with the idea of stopping aid to Ukraine while simultaneously not forcing Russia to make any concessions? Any guesses out there? By Putin 2 and 2 together. That's cool. So, yeah, that's just some of the dad joke gold you'll find in this book. Act now and you'll get these. Why does Putin drop so many bombs on women and children in Ukraine? Because it's easier than pushing them all out of a window. Here's another one. Why does Zelenskyy wear the same thing every single day? Because all his other clothes were incinerated in various assassination attempts against him, orchestrated by Putin. A lot of real knee slappers in here. Okay, so if you love American Emperor and how the Trump character aids and assists the side of the aggressor and are sick of giving your dad that same old tie every year, then order this hilarious book and you'll be putting your money where your mouth is. Order now. We'll throw in a tie that Putin has designed for dads who are journalists who are critical of his policies. Great. All right, everyone. Once again, that is 101 dad jokes for how the Trump character is emboldening Russia. Call this number below and get your copy today. Welcome back to Talking Trump, the American Emperor After Show. I'm with author, director, and pop culture critic, Mr. Tomm Robb. Time now for a segment where we answer questions from you, the audience. This is Talking Trump. Talk back. By the way, if you want to send us a question, hit us up on Instagram at American Emperor After Show. Our first question comes from Amy Howell of Athens, Georgia, and she asks, the show starts a bunch of trends. We saw the Trump character dance as one of them. Do you think that they're trying to start a new trend by bringing measles back?
I think that's a wonderful point. And yes, I agree. I think measles has been a hot seller in the past, certainly in the 1840s. Marketing is the key.
So what I believe is happening here is that the show itself constantly integrating marketing within its plot lines and its storylines. And what they've done is somebody in the back room at the show went and approached somebody else. And they said, look, we want to buy the rights to measles. And the person that they approached was like, measles, they don't exist anymore. We've wiped them. We've eradicated them. The American emperor, executive was like, oh, yeah. I know. I just am sentimental about them. My great grandmother died from them. They go, all right, I'll take your money, okay? And they bought the rights to measles very cheaply, like a dime on the dollar, type of thing. And now they're going to emerge and with a storyline about measles that gets so popular that it actually translates into the real world dynamic. And when people get the measles, not only will they be suffering from this illness, they'll actually owe copyright fees to the show. And that'll be another avenue, another source of revenue for the show. And they're going to make a boatload. And believe me, Tom, they've already done the whiteboard on this. They've already done the spreadsheets. They know they're going to make money.
Yeah, no, that's the key. Selling diseases is the future. I think we're going to see that this RFK character have a wine cellar full of different infectious diseases in vials. And in real life, the producers have the same thing. We're going to see rubella, cholera, typhus, all these things on the open market and huge profit.
All right. Well, our next question comes from Kyle Remington of Concord, New Hampshire. And he asks, what do you think of the plot line about this price of eggs thing that they're doing on the show? And how high do you think the price of eggs will get on the show?
I think that nobody in the world knows the price of eggs. And so whether they had it be $1 billion or 40 cents, it would be mysterious to everybody. So I think this is a kind of a plot line that doesn't have legs.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I think that people will be talking about the price of eggs within the context of American Emperor, within the context of the show for a long time. And nobody, like you said, will understand any kind of monetary value associated with eggs until we see a pivotal scene in an upcoming episode where someone will walk into a deli and order an egg salad sandwich. The person is going to say, okay, great, one egg salad sandwich coming up, that'll be $265,000. At which point the person buying the egg sandwich will cause an entire revolution. They will run out to the streets. The citizenry will become armed, and we'll see fighting, mass destruction in the streets. People don't associate prices with eggs. However, you try to take away their egg salad, it's a different story.
Well, of course, that's, apples and oranges. Fair enough.
All right, stick with us, people. When we come back, we're going to close out the show with a few predictions of what to look for next week. More Talking Trump, the American Emperor After Show, when we return. Welcome back, everyone. This is Talking Trump, the American Emperor After Show. Right now, before we close out the show, a couple of quick predictions. I'm going to go first here, Tom, and I'm going to make my prediction, and it's going to be this. The Trump character is going to risk it all by finally admitting his love and actually getting into a relationship with the Putin character. At first, the relationship has a lot of passion, but shortly after that, it dies out when the Trump character tells the Putin character, hey, put your shoes by the door when he comes into his apartment. We're going to see the Putin character kind of pause and realize that this kind of domestic life is not for him. He basically is going to turn around and walk out, kind of like how the Christopher Montesanto character in Sopranos saw that family at the gas station in that Soprano episode where he was really considering like running away with Adriana. But when he saw that that life wasn't for him. And then he basically ratted out Adriana, and then they subsequently had her murdered in the woods.
I think that's a great call, and I believe that to be true. I think we're all waiting for this romance to happen, true romance of those two characters. I think what we're going to see is there's been talk that the Trump character is too harsh and unappealing and getting too nasty. So there's going to be an aesthetic, artistic revolution. He's going to have a Cirque du Soleil set up in the White House where he performs a trapeze act in a tight, spangly outfit to beautiful classical sort of new age music with contortionists and acrobats in sylph-like bodies all around him. And it's going to be an interval that we're going to expect regularly in shows to soften our approach to this character. He's not a Philistine. He's an artiste. He's a performer, and he loves beauty.
I don't think that any other actor other than the actor who portrays the Trump character, Sir Lawrence Davies, would be able to pull that off because, as you know, Davies is in full control of his physical body. We've seen him in performances in the past dislocate his shoulder in order to change his body form into something that would be similar to the John Merrick role in Elephant Man. Of course, Davies did it while guesting as a completely different character on Mr. Belvedere, so it did not go over well. But he does have that incredible opportunity to kind of manipulate his body in such a way that he would be able to transform the Trump character into somebody physically able to do what you're describing, and it would be absolutely breathtaking.
Davies' abilities have influenced the character a great deal. You know, he'd gone to medical school. He never got certification, has performed autopsies on cadavers. And I think one thing we're going to see that he's been lobbying for a long time is they're going to discover the body of Joseph Biden in the White House. And an autopsy will be performed by the Trump character himself, where we'll see the actual mechanical contents of Biden, the robot. So this is something that'll be exciting. It'll be like a Roswell thing where very few people except for top CIA operatives will know about it in the military. And then, of course, they'll be all fired and killed by Elon Musk, who will assist in the autopsy. Wow. In a T-shirt and tight pants.
All right, well, that's it for us for this episode. For Tomm, Robb, I'm Christopher Lansing. Thanks for joining us, and please check out and subscribe to our show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. The links are in our show notes. Go ahead and leave us a comment. Positive ones only, folks. All right, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Thank you, Mr. Tomm Robb, for helping me out this week, and I can't wait to speak about a future episode.
My pleasure.